From 1978 to 1982, I lived mostly in Philadelphia. It was not a particularly prosperous time for me. This was no one's fault but my own. I alternated between experimentation and self-absorbed narratives of a fantastic nature. For the better part of a year, I worked with a collaborator on a screenplay called Norman Rules, which I had originally conceived as a novel. As I worked on it, the material became more and more insistent about being a movie rather than a book, because its most powerful elements were visual. It employed a premise that still intrigues me, although I have never been able to solve some basic problems that emerge in the writing. I mention it here because Norman Rules was the vehicle that surfaced my interest in punks, which I had seen during visits to South Street, but had taken little conscious note of until they muscled their way into the plotline of my story. It was a bizarre story to begin with. Raised an Episcopalian, I knew that it was Henry VIII who, in order to consolidate his political power over the infant Church of England, had abolished the monasteries in that country. For satirical purposes, I chose to repeal this historic event, which enables me to create an alternate time present in which the 60s revolution manifested itself as Reformation II. The centers of protest and violence were thus not universities, but monasteries, and the catalyst for upheaval was not the Vietnam War, but a mysterious monastic ritual that was identified in the minds of protesters with the term Norman Rules.